you're facing some problems, so requested for a strategy discussion. Tell me, how can I help you, buddy?
Basically, I'm facing the issues with the RC.
One thing that you have to understand about RC is that LSAT definitely would help you. See, if you're starting at a relatively lower level than everyone else, for instance, it will take you maybe a little more practice to get there, right? I told you, like, there are people who have coached and they literally couldn't really even come up with one grammatically correct sentence, and they had to go from there to get to a 97th, 98th percentile on the GMAT. So it wasn't an easy journey, right? If you start implementing right now, then even if you would not be able to complete, let's say, all the number of passages that I've discussed with you, even if you do fewer passages, you will still be able to see your accuracy improve considerably. And that one thing is, please don't check the answers unless you're absolutely certain that you've got the answer.
There is one more method that whenever I try to use elimination, for first few questions I am able to use it. But as it has been very long, means whenever we do passages, means in our school days as well, we always use selection. So I always after 2 to 3 questions, I always end up using selection only. So I think that is one of the challenges.
Yeah, one of the things that you have to keep in mind, Garvit, is that this is not an issue of skill, right? It is not an issue of background. It's an issue of focus. So when you're solving a question, there's a certain approach that you have to internalize. And everyone makes the mistake, the fact that, okay, you have to solve a question in a certain way, but you're used to solving the question another way. So there is almost always this element of ambiguity that creeps in after you've done a few questions, where you start to feel, okay, am I solving it in the right way, not solving it in the right way? And when you're using elimination, particularly, Garvit, like, the default approach I told you is selection, but that is not going to work on the exam. It won't get you the answer within time. So what is the point of actually practicing questions with that approach? So wherever you're studying, like on a study table, having a simple note that constantly reminds you, maybe a wallpaper, maybe something that you scribble down on a piece of paper every time you sit down to practice RC. It's more of an issue of stamina here, right? Because you've done a few practice, you're kind of getting in the zone, and then maybe you're not really thinking too much about the approach and you're just getting sucked into the routine of practice. And that's why you kind of forget about what's the right approach to begin with. And that's exactly where the notes or reminders on your phone or on your study table.
I have already booked my slot for the exam and I have around 40 days. But seeing the progress which I am doing on RC, so I know it will take a very long time for me to improve on it. But if I spend too much time on it, then what about the other session?
Blunder that you made is you booked your exam. And you shouldn't really do that until you actually have some sense of getting close to your target. Right now, it will just become a way for you to just do whatever you have to do to meet that target in 40 days. And if you actually do put in the effort, Garvit, if you don't have that pressure and you just focus on the strategies and the approaches I've talked about in the class for 40 days, you actually might even get there. But the point is, now that you have that external pressure of a deadline, you might not be able to delve deeper into the subjects or in the passages to the extent that you should have. It is taking so much time. I have other sections to prepare for. How will I be able to find a time to do all of those sections as well? This commentary is exactly what we mean when we say that you're distracted. But if you just get this RC bit taken care of, you have no idea how easy it will make everything else for you, including quant, which is largely about language traps. You should have talked to me once before you booked the exam date. If you've done it, you honestly can't do anything about it. But one thing that you can do right now is just forget about it. Focus on the process. Don't focus on the result. Result is not in your control. Obsessing about it, fixating about it, that you've got your exam coming up in 40 days, is only going to make it almost nearly impossible to get the target score.
I just thought that I should have spoken to you before booking my exam, but at that time I was like, so I can do it now. I'm facing the issues.
What's done is done. I mean, there's always the option of rescheduling it, but I'm saying right now, don't think too much about it, because that will definitely keep you from immersing yourself into the right kind of practice, Garvit. Won't help at all. The point, Garvit, is not about 70%. It's about understanding that not all the sections are going to be easy for you or equally easy or equally difficult for you. And that's why you have to manage your time in such a way that you're actually prioritizing the one that are the most important. It's about being a little more honest with yourself and understanding that you are not a kid anymore. You are trying to get into an MBA school where you'll find even more stiff competition. Instead of thinking about how hard it is, like it is hard for everyone. It was hard for me when I began. You have no idea how much time I spent on trying to look for shortcuts and those silver bullets that could have just got me like a 95-100% accuracy. And there are a lot of people who are preying on exactly, students like you who are looking for a shortcut.
Yeah.
Focus on the right things and practice in the right spirit. It is hard for everyone. You are not an exception. The universe is not conspiring against you.
Okay, I will try to change my approach and try my hardest to work on it.
Forget about everything else and focus on the things that we've discussed in the class. They're not opinions of mine. I have seen certain things happen again and again in the last 11 years. So if you just execute, you will be able to get the breakthrough. There is no if, there is no chance. It is certain you'll get it.